Today, we're diving into a story that most people completely overlook. Iran launched ballistic missiles and suicide drones at the United States and Israel. 3 American soldiers were killed, and at least 9 people lost their lives in major Israeli cities. But here's the strange part. Iran didn't just attack the US and Israel. They hit US military bases in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. Why those countries? To understand that, we need to go back 1,400 years.
Hezbollah launched rockets at Israel under the banner of blood vengeance. The Houthi rebels declared they would attack Israel and any ships passing through the Red Sea. Now, if you step back and look at the bigger picture, a pattern emerges. Iran, Hezbollah, the Houthis. Setting aside the US and Israel, every other country they're targeting is places like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar. What do all those nations have in common? They're all Sunni Muslim countries.
Take Israel and America out of the equation, and the picture changes completely. What you're really looking at is Shia forces attacking Sunni nations that cooperate with the United States. This is not just a war between countries. This is a 1,400-year-old religious war that is still being fought today. Sunni versus Shia. Let's go back to where this hatred between the two began.
Muhammad lost both his parents by the age of 6 and grew up an orphan. His father Abdullah was known as one of the most handsome men in Mecca, and by all accounts, Muhammad inherited those looks. At 25, Muhammad met a woman named Khadija. Now, Mecca at the time was a city divided between a handful of wealthy merchants and everyone else. Khadija was the head of one of those wealthy merchant families, a powerful businesswoman in her own right.
The 25-year-old employee, Muhammad, married the 40-year-old business owner, Khadija. He was her third husband. When Muhammad turned 40, something unusual started happening. He began claiming that rocks were bowing to him. Eventually, he retreated alone into a cave, and after roughly 3 years of meditation, he declared that he had met an angel. From that point on, for the next 20 years, he preached what he said were divine revelations delivered to him by that angel.
The revelations Muhammad said he received from the angel over those 20 years became the Quran. The things he said personally outside of those revelations became the Hadith. That is why Islam has 2 foundational texts, the Quran and the Hadith. Years passed, and when Muhammad was 50, Khadija, now 65, passed away. After her death, Muhammad's life changed dramatically. Muhammad died at 61 after falling into a coma from a severe fever. The problem was that Muhammad had no sons. He left behind only his daughter Fatima, and he died so suddenly that he never named a successor. You can probably imagine what happens when a powerful leader dies without an heir. The family on his wife's side and the family on his blood side began fighting over who would take power. Here is the single sentence that changed history. The wife's side of the family became the Sunnis, and Muhammad's blood relatives became the Shia. Think of it this way. Sunni comes from Sunnah, meaning tradition, the established community that chose leadership by consensus. Shia comes from Shi'at Ali, meaning followers of Ali, who believed leadership must stay in Muhammad's bloodline. In the first succession battle, the father of Muhammad's wife, Aisha, won. From that point on, the first 3 caliphs, Muhammad's successors, all came from the wife's side, all Sunni. But with the 4th caliph, a blood relative finally rose to power. His name was Ali. Ali was Muhammad's cousin, a direct blood connection, and he was also the husband of Muhammad's only daughter, Fatima. His claim to leadership was powerful on both counts. The very name Shia comes from Shi'at Ali, the followers of Ali. But do you know what happened after Ali became caliph? He was assassinated by the Sunnis. Ali had a son named Hussein. Hussein fled to Iraq to escape Sunni forces hunting him down. But the Sunnis sent an army of 30,000 men after him. They beheaded Hussein, cut open his body, and tore him apart before returning home. What I'm about to tell you is the core of 1,400 years of rage.
During Ashura, the holiest observance in Shia Islam, worshippers beat their own bodies until they bleed. Some lash their backs with chains fitted with blades. Why do they do this? To never forget the suffering that Hussein endured at the hands of the Sunnis. They have been doing this for 1,400 years. When you understand that, you realize that reconciliation between Sunnis and Shia is structurally impossible. Throughout the centuries that followed, the Sunnis dominated the Middle East. They killed Shia Muslims on sight, forcing the Shia to survive as secretive, underground religious communities. Because they had to operate in hiding, interaction between groups became difficult, and over time, numerous subsects developed within Shia Islam itself. To this day, 85% of Muslims worldwide are Sunni, 14% are Shia, and roughly 1% are Sufi. As a side note, the Sufis are a mystical order that believes spinning in circles until you reach a state of ecstasy can bring you closer to God. Their whirling dance, called Sema, is about as far as their influence extends. The real story has always been the war between Sunni and Shia. Once you understand this framework, everything happening in the Middle East right now looks completely different. But here's where things get strange. Iran, a Shia nation, actually had no reason to be enemies with Israel. The two countries are far apart geographically, and the Palestinians that Israel oppresses are Sunni. From Palestine's perspective, Shia Iran was the enemy too. In fact, during the Pahlavi dynasty, Iran and Israel had a perfectly good relationship. So how on earth did Iran end up becoming Israel's bitter adversary? Whenever things get complicated in the Middle East, Britain usually enters the story. The British were colonizing the Persian region, extracting its resources dry. When World War II broke out, Japan seized Southeast Asia, one of Britain's two major resource pipelines. With only Persia left, the exploitation intensified. And right at that moment, Nazi Germany came knocking on Persia's door. Nazi Germany's top diplomatic priority was ethnicity. The Nazis dug through ancestral records and declared themselves Aryans, and the original homeland of the Aryan people was Persia. So Germany showed up saying, "We are descendants of Persia. We are one people." For Persians suffering under British rule, this was electrifying. It was a calculated Nazi strategy to cut off Britain's last major resource supply line. The Nazis lost the war, but pro-German sentiment in Iran took root from that point on and never fully went away. The Shah and the elites played along with the Americans and sided with Israel. But the feelings of ordinary Iranians were very different. The idea had spread that the Nazis were victims and that Jews were puppets of America, enemies of all mankind. And then the Islamic Revolution erupted. Khomeini rode that wave of popular anger. He declared America the great Satan and Israel the little Satan, and severed all ties with Israel completely. A pure Shia theocracy was born.
The biggest challenge for this new Shia religious state was that it was surrounded almost entirely by Sunni nations. It needed to grow its numbers. So Iran began reaching out to its Shia brothers wherever it could find them. Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthi rebels in Yemen, the Assad government in Syria. Iran calls them the axis of resistance. The Houthi rebels belong to the Zaydi branch of Shia Islam. The Zaydis follow the fifth imam, Zayd ibn Ali, who was known as the fiercest warrior among all the imams. A sect that glorifies combat, concentrated in Yemen. In 2015, the Houthis seized the capital and pushed the Sunni government south. They carry the name rebels, but in reality, they are the ruling power in much of Yemen. The Sunni government forces are backed by Saudi Arabia and the UAE. The Houthi rebels are backed by Iran. A Sunni versus Shia proxy war is playing out right now as we speak. Let me bring this all together. What is happening right now is not simply a war between the US and Israel on one side and Iran on the other. It is a 1,400-year-old religious war that started when Muhammad's in-laws and blood relatives fought over his succession. And that war is still being waged today with missiles and drones. 90% of Iran's population is Shia. Their supreme religious leader has been struck down in what many will see as martyrdom. No one can predict what deeply devout and radicalized forces around the world might do next. This may not be the end. It may only be the beginning. If this video helped you see the bigger picture, please subscribe and like. I will see you in the next one.